I'm Tim. I was born in Salem, Oregon. From when I was 4 years old, my stepdad and my biological mother physically, sexually abused me from the age 4 to the age of 7. We bounced around from town to town, from McMinnville to Kaiser, Eugene, Springfield, all over the place until I was placed in foster care in '87. When I went to school, and the teachers were wondering, why is he throwing up? Why is he gorging himself and everything else? And so they weighed me, and I was like 25 pounds underweight at the age of 7. And then when the nurse tried to grab my waist, I flinched. So she had me lift up my shirt, and I was just covered in bruises and all that. So they took me and my 2 brothers out of foster care, out of my parents' house into foster care. And then it wasn't until 1990 when I actually said that I was actually sexually abused. Then I went in front of the judge in 1990, told him about my sexual abuse. At the time, my parents, they fled. And then I got adopted in '92, moved from Mapleton all the way to Hermiston. Yeah. Where I lived most of my life there. When I was 15, I got in trouble, did 8 months in McLaren for a violent offense. And that was the first time I attempted suicide. I took my bed sheet, wrapped it around the doorknob, wrapped it around my neck, and hung myself. I sat down and hung myself. The guard came in, resuscitated me. If he didn't, the doctor said like in the next 5 to 10 seconds, I would have been dead. But that wasn't my first attempt at suicide. I attempted it 23 times and survived every single one of them. And then I met my ex-wife. Actually, I had a drug addiction from 1998 to 2008. I was a meth addict. I was hooked on meth. I sold. I used. Then I got in trouble in 2008. I had a pipe with resin. They charged me with 18 months. I could chose 18 months in prison or 18 months in drug court, and I chose drug court. Graduated drug court, so I don't have a felony on my record. Then I moved down. Then I moved back to Albany. I moved down to Albany. Met my ex-wife. We were married for like 6 years until we got divorced. Then I moved in with my biological mom, trying to get to know her. I forgave her for everything she did. This was before I even knew the Lord about forgiveness or anything like that. But I forgave her, and I moved in with her. And then my last attempt at suicide was 2022, November 27th. And then a month later, my mom's landlord kicked me out. I had nowhere to go, didn't know what I was going to do, nothing like that. So I got on a bus, came to Salem out of Staten, and I went up to an officer, asked them about a homeless shelter. They said UGM. I went to the UGM. I just didn't know what I was doing there, didn't know anything. Had COVID, so I was like in the quarantine. So I was in quarantine for like 5 days. And then I got out, and then I was still just in guest services, didn't know where I was going. I was talking to Cameron, I was talking to Rick. But I joined the program, and Arnie became my counselor, and Arnie was trying to talk to me about God and stuff like that. I didn't want to hear it because it didn't really. Because I mean, from the age 4, I just thought, if God allowed a kid to be abused that bad, in that so many ways, that what kind of God really is he? But then, he came to me. He showed me what kind of God he really is when I read, when I was at church at Salem Heights, and one of the pastors started reading out of Revelations. It was Revelations chapter 4, verse 12. In the glory of God, God created all things, and all things he creates and shall be. And that right there just opened up my eyes to what God really had in plan for me. It wasn't He didn't allow my parents to abuse me. My parents chose to abuse me. And once I figured that out, then God just started working miracles in my heart. 6 months into the program, I was in Stephen's class. We were reading on Romans. It was chapter 12, verse 17, and it just really hit me how powerful forgiveness really is. And so the next day, it was just me and God, and I asked God to forgive my stepdad for all the horrible things that he done to me from the age 4 to age 7. And after I forgave my stepdad, God just poured more love and more embrace into me, and it's just been amazing just what God has done for me. And just in this past 11 months that I've been in the program, so I'm very thankful.